If you've ever owned a Nintendo console, you're probably familiar with the super popular Super Smash Bros. Franchise, and my personal favorite in the series is this entry right here, Super Smash Bros. Melee, which is pretty old by today's standards and still sees competitive play. But we're not here to talk about Super Smash Bros. Melee today. Rather, I'm here to talk about the even older first entry in the series, Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 64. And what's crazy about this is that this entry, despite being 25 years old at this point, still sees competitive play in tournaments even to this day. The most recent large-scale tournament was Super Smash Con 2023, and we saw Isaiah, a long-standing veteran of the scene, take first place in an amazing 6-0 grand final set. But competitive live tournaments are not the only way people still continue to enjoy this game even today. Did you know people speedrun this game? If you've never seen a speedrun of Super Smash Bros., you might be wondering, how on earth do people even speedrun a game that's built around a multiplayer live experience? And the answer to that comes in the form of its single-player modes. One being the campaign, where you can play through 11 stages and eventually fight Master Hand at the end, and the two other single-player experiences, those being break the targets and board the platforms. If you take a seat with me, I'd like to take you through the speedrun categories for Super Smash Bros. 64. Speedrun.com has the Super Smash Bros. Game split up into levels and leaderboards. Now, the runs in the levels section are focused on doing runs with individual characters only, whereas the leaderboard section focuses on doing runs featuring all the characters. Both levels and leaderboards feature the 3 individual single-player game modes. We're going to focus on each one of these one by one. Beginning with the single-player campaign, we can see that there are 3 categories here. Those being very easy 5-stock, normal 3-stock, and very hard 1-stock for the levels category. And these category names refer to the difficulty settings and stock settings that you can set at the beginning of the campaign mode. In the single-player campaign, players progress through 11 stages which culminate in a final battle with the game's boss, Master Hand. And there are also 3 optional bonus stages which occur at every 3rd match, where the player has a single stock to complete the stage before the timer runs out. Completing each of these stages, including the bonus stages, accrue bonus points that contribute to a total score that the game tracks. And an important thing to mention for the nature of the speedrun is that the game mode is completely static, which means that the same characters on the same stages are always faced in the same order for each playthrough, the only variation being the aforementioned difficulty and number of stocks before the playthrough begins. This campaign can be completed once for every character, and the game tracks a total score for every character on the selection screen, and thus Speedrun.com tracks leaderboards for every character that can be played in the game individually. The leaderboard section also keeps track of these categories and splits it into the same difficulty and stock settings that we saw on the levels leaderboard. Very easy 5 stocks, normal 3 stocks, and very hard 1 stock. These speedruns are essentially the same as the individual level speedruns, except these track the time that it takes to complete the campaign mode for each character individually, one after another. Break the Targets is one of the 2 bonus single-player game modes that can be found in the game, and the speedruns for this game consist of character stages where you're required to defeat all 10 targets scattered throughout the special arenas as quickly as possible. On the character select screen, the game records the shortest time taken to smash all 10 targets for each level. Each character in Super Smash Bros. Has their own unique stage, and these stages are themed to match the characters. You can see here in Donkey Kong's stage, it resembles the construction girders from the original Donkey Kong arcade game, while Luigi's resembles the layout of the original Mario Bros. Arcade game. Something that becomes immediately obvious when looking at the Break the Targets records on the Speedrun.com page is that the leaderboards are absolutely dominated by the Canadian player KM. He is the current best player in Break the Targets and Board the Platforms, and holds the world record for every single character in the game. He posts all of his runs to Twitter and YouTube, and I will link those in the description so you can go check out this guy's amazing runs to behold for yourself. Board the Platforms is very similar to Break the Targets, except instead of breaking targets with each character, in this game mode you have to land on 10 different platforms as fast as possible, also with each character. One interesting thing to note about this game mode specifically is that unlike the other game modes, the Board the Platforms minigame is unique to the original Super Smash Bros. And has not made a return in any of the modern iterations of Super Smash Bros. Much like Break the Targets, we can see that KM also absolutely dominates the leaderboard for Board the Platforms with every single character. The full game leaderboard has 3 categories for these 2 game modes, those being all Break the Targets, which is just break the targets but with every single character one after another, all Board the platforms, which is board the platforms but with every single character one after another, and all bonuses, which is essentially just all break the targets, and all board the platforms one after another. And as you can see from these leaderboards, it is KM once again who has the first place in all 3 of these categories. The final category is unique to the full game leaderboards and is called Unlock All Characters. Of the 12 playable characters in Super Smash Bros., 8 of them are available from the start, and 4 of them are unlockable. These 4 characters are Luigi, Captain Falcon, Ness, and Jigglypuff, and each of these characters has specific requirements in order to be unlocked. For Luigi, you have to complete Break the Targets with all of the starter characters. To unlock Captain Falcon, you must complete the campaign first player game in under 20 minutes. For Ness, you have to complete the one-player campaign game on normal or higher difficulty with 3 stocks or less and without using any continues. And finally, for Jigglypuff, you must complete the one-player campaign game with any character. This speedrun is completed once the final of the 4 characters is unlocked. Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo 64 has been featured at Games Done Quick as recently as Summer Games Done Quick 2020 online. This is where Bubzia, a renowned blindfolded speedrunner, did a blindfolded speedrun of Break the Target for all characters blindfolded. And I've gotta say, this is absolutely one amazing speedrun. If you'd like to have a look at the full speedrun, I'll leave a link to the video in the description of this video below. Thank you all so much for watching. I have a big announcement to make as well, and that is that I have now got a Patreon that you can find at patreon.com/thebaronade. I'm going to be hosting a lot of exclusive content over on the Patreon, and it is currently one of the best ways that you can support the channel. So for anybody who's interested in doing that, I very much appreciate it. Please go give it a look, and let me know as well what you thought of the video. If you have any recommendations for videos you'd like to see in the future, let me know in the comments below, and tell me who is your favorite character to play in Super Smash Bros. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day. Lots of love. Ciao for now.